Have you ever wondered why the more you chase love, the more it seems to run away from you? This paradox you've experienced is no coincidence. Carl Jung, one of history's most brilliant psychologists, discovered something fascinating about our pursuit of love that could completely change your life. Imagine for a moment, you're walking along a path in the forest. In the distance you see a brightly colored butterfly. You approach, try to catch it, but each time your hands get close, it flies a little further away. Frustrated, you stop and decide to rest. And then something incredible happens. The butterfly gently lands on your shoulder. This is precisely the perfect metaphor to understand the relationship between you and true love. Jung discovered that authentic love works like that butterfly. You can't chase it, catch it, or force it. Only when you stop, when you choose yourself first, when you find your center and inner peace, that's when true love appears in your life. It will surprise you, find you, almost as if it had been waiting for you to stop looking for it. And why does this happen? Jung explained it through a fascinating concept: projection. When we desperately search for love, what we're really doing is projecting our internal deficiencies outward. We look in others for what we haven't found in ourselves. That feeling of emptiness, constant need, emotional hunger, all of that is nothing but the reflection of a disconnection from your inner being. Think about it for a moment. How many times have you entered a relationship expecting the other person to fill your voids, heal your wounds, or give you the value you don't give yourself? And how many times has this ended in frustration, pain, and more emptiness than before? Jung warned us about this pattern. When you seek someone else to complete you, you're condemning that relationship even before it begins. True love, the kind that transforms your life forever, doesn't arise from need or lack, but from fullness, from the encounter between two beings who are already complete in themselves. Two individuals who have done the inner work, who have integrated their shadows, who have chosen themselves before anyone else. This is the revolutionary truth that Jung left us. The secret of love isn't in finding the perfect person, but in becoming the person who no longer needs to chase love to feel complete. But how do you reach that state? How do you stop chasing and start attracting? The path Jung shows us begins with a seemingly simple but deeply transformative step: the encounter with your shadow. The shadow, according to Jung, is that part of ourselves we've repressed, ignored, or rejected. They're those aspects of our personality that we consider unacceptable, that cause us shame, or that we simply prefer not to see. It might be your anger, your fear of abandonment, your need for control, your insecurity. Those parts you've hidden in the deepest part of your being. The problem is that when you reject parts of yourself, you also reject your capacity to fully love and be loved. It's as if you were trying to navigate with only half the map. Jung taught us that integrating the shadow is fundamental for individuation, that process of becoming who you truly are. And only when you completely accept yourself, with lights and shadows, can you experience authentic love. Think about the relationships you've had so far. Haven't you noticed that, mysteriously, you tend to attract people who reflect what you've denied in yourself? This is no coincidence. Jung explained it through the concept of synchronicity, that apparent coincidence that actually has a profound meaning. Your relationships are mirrors of your inner world. What you haven't resolved within yourself will manifest again and again in the people you attract, until you finally decide to face it. Now, pause for a moment and take a deep breath. I want you to ask yourself this question: what part of yourself have you been denying? What aspects of your personality have you judged as unacceptable? Maybe it's your vulnerability, your need for affection, or perhaps it's your inner strength, the one you fear showing for fear of overshadowing others. Whatever it is, Jung invites us to look at it directly, to embrace it, to integrate it into our consciousness. This process isn't easy or comfortable. Facing the shadow can be painful, even terrifying. But it's in this journey inward where we find our true strength. Jung said, "What you deny submits you. What you accept transforms you. When you accept all your parts, when you stop fighting against yourself, that's when you can finally feel complete. And from that completeness, love is no longer a desperate need, but a conscious choice. And here is where something magical happens. When you stop chasing love, when you focus on your own growth and on building a healthy relationship with yourself, love finds you. Not because you're using some attraction technique or seduction strategy, but because your energy has changed. You no longer emit the frequency of lack, but that of fullness. And that attracts people who vibrate at that same frequency. Jung spoke extensively about the importance of self-love as a prerequisite for loving others. But he wasn't referring to that superficial self-love we see on social media. He was talking about deep self-knowledge work, reconciliation with your rejected parts, genuine acceptance of your being in its entirety. This is true self-love, the ability to be with yourself, to know yourself deeply, and to choose yourself, even when that means going against the current. Think about how many decisions you've made in your life out of fear of being alone, fear of rejection, or simply due to social pressure. Jung warned us about the danger of living a life that doesn't resonate with our essence. He said, "The person who looks outward dreams. The person who looks inward awakens." Awakening means recognizing that your value doesn't depend on being in a relationship, being validated by others, or meeting others' expectations. Your value is intrinsic, non-negotiable, and exists independently of your romantic situation. This is a liberating truth. You don't need to chase love to be complete. You already are complete. Love doesn't come to fill a void, but to expand who you already are. When you understand this, your relationship with love changes radically. You no longer look for someone to rescue you from your loneliness or give meaning to your existence. You seek a travel companion, someone with whom to share the fullness you've already found. But what about those people who seem to be constantly in relationships, jumping from one to another with barely time to breathe? Jung had an interesting perspective on this. He called this phenomenon running away from oneself. When you avoid being alone, when you fear facing your own silence, you're avoiding the most important encounter of your life, the encounter with yourself. Solitude is not your enemy. It's the sacred space where you can finally hear your inner voice, the one that has been trying to guide you all along. Jung said, "The one who looks outward dreams. The one who looks inward awakens." In stillness, in pause, in that space between relationships, is where true transformation occurs. It's where you reconnect with your essence, where you redefine your values, and where you consciously decide what kind of love you want to attract into your life. And how does this change manifest in practice? It begins to show in the people you attract. You're no longer interested in those who are only willing to love you partially, who set conditions, or who ask you to change to be worthy of their affection. You begin to recognize those toxic patterns that you once accepted as normal. Your standards rise, not from ego or arrogance, but from deep respect for who you are and what you deserve. Jung taught us that the unconscious always seeks balance, wholeness. When you yourself are in a state of greater wholeness, you attract relationships that reflect that same quality. It's the law of resonance, like attracts like. If you're at peace with yourself, if you've integrated your shadows and found your center, you'll attract people who have done similar work. This doesn't mean relationships will be perfect or free from challenges. Jung was very clear on this point. Even the healthiest relationships involve conflict and growth. The difference is that these conflicts no longer arise from unresolved deficiencies or wounds, but become opportunities to continue expanding, to know yourself more deeply, and to strengthen the connection. One of Jung's most powerful ideas about love is the concept of the significant other as a mirror of the soul. When you stop chasing and start attracting, the person who comes into your life doesn't come to complete you, but to reflect you, to show you aspects of yourself that perhaps you haven't yet discovered. This is a much deeper and more enriching way to see relationships, not as solutions to your loneliness, but as catalysts for your growth. Jung also spoke about the importance of maintaining your individuality within a relationship. He observed that many people, in their desire to please or maintain harmony, sacrifice essential parts of themselves. They become what he called complementary shadows, living in function of the other to the point of losing contact with their own center. True love, according to Jung, honors separation as much as union. It allows each person to maintain their integrity, their identity, and their individual path, while sharing a common journey. There is no fusion that blurs boundaries, but a deep respect for the other's uniqueness. This is mature, conscious love that arises not from need, but from the free choice of two complete beings. And here is perhaps Jung's most revolutionary teaching about love. The idea that our most significant relationships are guided by something greater than our consciousness. He called it the archetype of the anima and animus, those masculine and feminine energies we all carry within and seek to project and find in the other. When you chase love, you're chasing a projection, an idealized image you've created in your mind. But when you stop, when you do the inner work, when you integrate those energies within yourself, you no longer need to seek them outside. And paradoxically, that's when you attract relationships that truly complement who you are, not from lack, but from abundance. Jung observed a fascinating phenomenon. Those who had done this inner work seemed to manifest relationships almost magically aligned with their essence. They didn't have to search or chase, they simply attracted. It was as if the universe conspired to present them with exactly the people they needed at each stage of their evolution. This isn't superstition or magical thinking, it's the direct result of an expanded consciousness and an integrated being. But how do you begin this process? How do you move from desperate pursuit to conscious attraction? Jung gave us some practical keys that you can start applying today. First, practice self-observation without judgment. Observe your patterns in past relationships. What kind of people have you attracted? What dynamics have been repeated? Not to criticize yourself, but to understand what parts of you are seeking integration through these experiences. Second, make peace with your solitude. The ability to be alone, to enjoy your own company, to find purpose and meaning regardless of your romantic situation, is fundamental to attracting healthy relationships. Jung said, "The one who cannot be alone, beware of him." Third, work on integrating your shadow. Those parts of you that you've denied or repressed need to be recognized, accepted, and loved. It can be through therapy, meditation, art, writing. Any practice that allows you to explore your unconscious with compassion and curiosity. Fourth, recognize your projections. When you feel intensely attracted to or repelled by someone, ask yourself, what is this person awakening in me? What qualities am I projecting onto them? This exercise in consciousness is pure gold for your personal growth. And fifth, perhaps Jung's most important advice, trust your process. The path to authentic love is neither linear nor quick. It has its ups and downs, its moments of clarity and confusion. But if you remain true to yourself, if you continue choosing yourself over relationships that don't honor you, eventually you'll attract the love that truly resonates with your essence. There's a story Jung used to tell that perfectly illustrates this principle. It speaks of a seeker who traveled all over the world trying to find a treasure. He visited temples, consulted sages, climbed mountains, all without success. Finally, exhausted and disillusioned, he returned home. And there in his own garden, he discovered the treasure he had been seeking all that time. This parable perfectly reflects our search for love. Many times we chase it in faraway places, in people who seem perfect at first glance, in relationships that promise to fill us, but that in reality only take us further away from ourselves. And then, when we finally stop, when we return to our center, we discover that what we were looking for was always there, waiting to be recognized. Jung was clear. True love never comes to rescue you. It comes to meet you when you've already rescued yourself. When you've made peace with your demons, when you've integrated your shadows, when you've become a being who no longer seeks in others what you haven't found in yourself. This is perhaps the most liberating message you could hear today. You don't need to chase love. You don't need seduction strategies, attraction techniques, or game rules. What you need is to return to yourself, reconnect with your essence, do the inner work that no one else can do for you. And then, almost as if by magic, love will find you. And it won't be just any love. It won't be a relationship that keeps you small, that asks you to change, or that makes you doubt your worth. It will be a love that celebrates who you are, that honors your path, that inspires you to keep growing. A love that doesn't come to complete you, but to complement you. A love that doesn't seek fusion, but connection between two complete and independent beings. Jung explained that this type of love has an almost sacred quality. He called it love as a spiritual path, a relationship that transcends the merely romantic or physical to become a vehicle for mutual transformation. When two people who have done their inner work meet, their shadows and lights dance together in a perfect choreography. There is no need to hide, to pretend, or to please. There is freedom to be, to grow, to evolve together. Can you imagine living like this? Can you imagine a love so free from manipulation, so exempt from power games, so full of authenticity? Jung not only believed it was possible, he maintained that it is our birthright, that we all have the capacity to experience this type of love if we are willing to do the necessary inner work. And here is the final paradox, the one that summarizes everything we've explored today. When you understand that you don't need love to be happy, that's when you're ready to experience the deepest and most transformative love. When you stop chasing and start being, that's when love finds you. It's no coincidence that you've come to this video. Perhaps you've been chasing love for a long time. Perhaps you've experienced disappointments, broken hearts, relationships that began with promise but ended in pain. If so, I want you to know that all of that has been part of your path. Each experience, each disappointment, has been leading you to this moment of understanding. Jung firmly believed in the purpose of our experiences, even the painful ones. He saw suffering not as punishment, but as an invitation to deepen, to expand consciousness, to integrate forgotten aspects of our being. Your past relationships haven't been in vain. They have been your greatest teachers. Now you have the opportunity to change your relationship with love, to move from desperate pursuit to conscious attraction, to transform your wounds into wisdom, your deficiencies into fullness, your dependence into freedom. This is the journey Jung invites us to undertake, the journey toward ourselves, which paradoxically is also the path toward the other. Because in the end, what Jung discovered is that true love isn't something you find. It's something that finds you when you no longer need it to feel complete. It's the natural fruit of your growth, the external reflection of your internal state, the tangible manifestation of your invisible work. So the next time you find yourself chasing, trying to force a connection, or feeling anxious about the absence of love in your life, remember Jung's words. Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Whoever looks outside dreams. Whoever looks inside awakens. Awaken to the truth of who you are. Awaken to your inherent fullness. Awaken to the understanding that you are already complete, that you don't need anyone to validate your existence or to make you feel valuable. And from that awakening, you'll see how the love you've always deserved finds its way to you. It's not magic, it's the natural result of your inner transformation. It's not luck. It's the exact reflection of your vibrational frequency. It's not coincidence. It's the perfect manifestation of the universal law that Jung understood so deeply. What you are determines what you attract. So are you ready to stop chasing? Are you willing to make the inner journey that will forever transform your experience of love? If your answer is yes, then this is just the beginning of an extraordinary adventure. An adventure that will take you through your shadows and your lights, your fears and your hopes, toward the most important discovery of your life. That the love you've been looking for has never been outside of you. If this message has resonated with you, if it has touched something deep inside you, I invite you to share it with those who might need it. Because in a world obsessed with the search for perfect love, this message is revolutionary. You don't need to chase what is already destined to find you when you're ready to receive it. Let me know in the comments how this message has impacted your life, what reflections it has awakened in you, or what changes you're inspired to make. Your experience is not only valuable to me, but to this entire community of seekers who, like you, are on the path toward more conscious and authentic love. And if you're not yet part of this community, I invite you to subscribe and activate notifications so you don't miss upcoming videos where we'll continue exploring the profound teachings of Jung and other masters who can transform not only your relationship with love, but with all aspects of your life. Remember, the moment you stop chasing is the moment you start attracting. Let this truth settle into your being, allow it to transform your relationship with love, and observe how, almost magically, the universe responds to this inner change. Thank you for being here, for your openness, and for your courage to face these truths. The path to authentic love begins with a decision. The decision to choose yourself, to do the inner work, and to trust that when you're ready, love will find you. And not just any love, but exactly the love you deserve. The love that celebrates your light, that understands your shadows, that honors your unique path in this world. See you in the next video. Meanwhile, remember Jung's words. The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. Prepare yourself for that transformation, not by chasing it, but by becoming the person who will naturally attract it when the perfect moment comes.